Check this out. So there's a new character that was introduced in the current friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Yes, there are 112 Spider-Man books going on at the same time, but this is friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, not Amazing Spider-Man, Miles Morales Spider-Man, or Superior Spider-Man, a life story Spider. It's none of those Spider-Man. It's friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That this new hero called the Rumor pops up, and she's an old lady, and she has these sorts of powers. And obviously, within this comic book, and we are on issue 9, and they've been the character itself. I'm actually fine with. It's kind of awkward sometimes because the character is old as shit, and she does all of these cool things. But the way she was introduced, and how she sort of pops up, and now they're sort of developing her. She's giving some backstory, and it turns out that she was Japan's answer to Captain America. So they were doing all these tests on her, and that's actually how she ended up getting her powers. Seemed a lot of people died, and she was one of the ones that survived. Now, I want to preface this by saying that this book is a solid book. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man has been pretty solid, and what I'm about to say doesn't ruin this. It was just something that I noticed. But yeah, so they basically address Japanese internment camps, right? So the character is in Japan, and believe it or not, let's kind of backtrack a little bit. She's familiar with Steve Rogers. She actually fought alongside him, Captain America, that is, back in a gap against Nazis, right? So anyway, he comes to basically scoop her, but he wasn't going to stop her if she ran away, and basically scoop her to put her in a goddamn internment camp, right? Japanese internment camp. And she's like, no, those are my folks. And then she sorts of highlights how, this is fucked up. You guys are doing this to your own citizens. And Captain America agrees. But again, she goes in there because she obviously wants to help people. She's of Japanese descent, obviously, and she wants to help people within this camp. Now, the thing that I noticed is that they did their damnedest to never mention the president that facilitated all of this shit. The guy that ordered this, and that's the leftist beloved Franklin D. Roosevelt. Now, you may think, oh, well, you're just over-exaggerating, Eric, right? No, I'm not. The reason why I think it's important to mention him is because certainly in this climate, where people certainly don't have any problem taking their shots or anything like that, even using sort of these analogies and having goofy looking characters and villains that even look in favor of Donald Trump, the fact that they completely dodged that, I thought was something a little weird. Mainly because of the two characters that's part of this. First being Captain America. And Captain America, if you don't, and it's part of canon, he actually linked up with FDR. So it's not like we don't know he exists, and it's not like we don't know that they know each other. But they did everything while they're going back and they're telling this story of her being in this internment camp. They completely disregard the beloved FDR, the guy who followed a lot of these rotten ass socialist sort of policies to this day that exist. And it's their beloved hero, though it's funny they call like Donald Trump a Nazi and all this crazy shit, simply because of his immigration policy, while praising a guy like FDR who literally put motherfuckers in camps. Literally, not like, oh, well, these are concentration camps and saying it as a hyperbole. No. He literally put motherfuckers in camps based on their descent. That's as racist as it gets. And they praised and loved this fucking guy in FDR. But I just thought it was weird because, again, we know that Cap knows him, but also this is Spider-Man we're talking about. And yes, it's not the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. It's still part of the main universe. And remember, this is the same Spider-Man, the same damn Spider-Man that got you this. So they don't got no problem acknowledging presidents, believe it or not. Most of the, even Donald Trump, I believe he showed up in the Luke Cage book. They have no problem with that, right? But when it comes to this rotten shit, which is a stain on U.S. history, they neglected to even mention the simple fact that FDR was the one that facilitated and ordered these fucking internment camps, even though they're talking about the goddamn internment camp. And a Spider-Man book that produces shit like this, as well as using, the history of a character in Captain America that met FDR. That's part of canon. I just thought that was a little weird. Some of you guys may be like, oh man, you just over exaggerated. No, not at all. When you consider the characters that are being used, I just thought it's hard for me to believe that it wasn't by design that they left that conveniently out. Which president facilitated this? Something else. It's something else.